Hey guys, this is Sam with Wrestling Overtime and with your news and updates for May 29th, 2020. Little shocking news. I don't think anybody was really expecting it. The countdown for AEW's Double or Nothing that TNT showed on Friday night before Double or Nothing, it was, about an hour long. It ended up getting 344,000 viewers. Now, compared to WWE's Backstage that happens on Tuesday nights, that's double their viewers. And when you think that there are times AEW Dynamite and NXT only get like 600,000 viewers, that's half of that. So for a Friday night, to kind of pump up the program, Double or Nothing, that's a lot of viewers. And I'm shocked. Then we found out that WWE's Raw ratings were down. It was the second lowest in their history. And if you watched WWE Raw this week, then you understood why. They had 1.74 million viewers. The first hour to the third hour had a 7% drop. And, that is killing them. Raw and, in a way, SmackDown, they have to get better. They're just, they're falling apart, and I don't understand why. It's crazy. Wrestling Observer reported that whoever wins the Kip Sabian versus Jimmy Havoc, Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page match that's going to be next week will face Best Friends at Fyter Fest. And in Wrestling Observer, they said Excalibur said that on the show, and I didn't hear that. And I watched the after show, and Excalibur wasn't on it. It was actually Tony Schiavone. So, I don't know. But they said whoever wins that one will face Best Friends at Fyter Fest. And next week, we are also going to get Colt Cabana versus Chris Jericho. And like I said in that episode, at the very end, it makes sense because you saw Colt and Jericho kind of having, like I said, a shoving, slapping match thing going on. So that doesn't surprise me that Jericho said, hey, I want to take on Colt. AEW Dynamite and NXT ratings this week were up. AEW had 827,000 viewers and NXT had 731,000 viewers. So AEW had almost 100,000 more people watching. Another thing that's been in the news is JoJo, who was an announcer for WWE, and Bray Wyatt had their second child together this month. They named him, I believe you pronounce it, Harry Von Rotunda. And I know you're thinking, Harry? Well, okay, his first child's name is Nash 6 Rotunda. So, they have a tendency to name their children different names. Nash was actually born in May of 2019. And since this is May of 2020, I feel sorry for JoJo. Ladies, if you're listening to this, men, you can understand it too. But you think about it. Bray Wyatt and JoJo now have 2 kids under the age of 1.5, basically. They're going to have 2 in diapers. They're going to have 2 bottles to make. They're going to have 2 having pacifiers to throw around. that's a nightmare. That is something that I do not, when I go to sleep, want to have dreams about, because I hope they are not planning on having a third that close together. The thoughts of having 3 children under the age of 2 would literally make me want to smack my head into the nearest wall. But I feel for JoJo. Next piece of news is something that a lot of people were talking about on the internet and were writing into a lot of different people wondering. Nigel McGuinness, he was furloughed by the WWE on the Black Wednesday where they let everybody go. He was actually furloughed, and others that were furloughed were Dave Finlay, Fit Finlay, Lance Storm, Shane Hurricane Helms, and Gerald Briscoe. So, I know a lot of you are saying, I don't understand the difference. Well, obviously, if you're fired, you're gone. They, from what I understand, do not have a 90-day compete clause because they were fired, and those wrestlers can go wherever. However, with the pandemic, there's not really a lot of people signing anybody right now. If you are furloughed, however, you may get your job back. So these, I guess, producers, announcers, talent, may possibly be the first ones to get their jobs back if, Vince McMahon decides that he needs some people. So, we'll see. We just recently saw that he had furloughed Kurt Angle, and he brought him back as the special guest referee for the Matt Riddle, Timothy Thatcher cage match. So there is always a possibility that we'll see these guys back in WWE. Double or Nothing saw between 100,000 and 110,000 purchases. Now that's right around $50 a pop. Dave Metzler said he didn't have any hard numbers yet, but he thinks that it's going to equal the 2019 Double or Nothing show where they made some really good money. So I think Tony Khan and, the executive vice presidents, they have to be happy with this. That many people actually bought it and everything. I think they have to be happy with the show they put on, and that people knew there wasn't going to be a crowd there, but still wanted to see what they were going to do. So I see that as a big time positive. They also today announced the AEW dark matches for next week. We're going to see Billy Gunn versus John Scholar. We're going to see the Natural Nightmares, which is Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, versus Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon. Unusual tag team there. Not real sure how Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon are going to get along. Then we're going to see the Butcher and the Blade versus John Cruz and John Alonzo. And then Santana and Ortiz are going to be on AEW Dark versus Big Game Leroy and EJ Lewis on this Tuesday's June 2nd, AEW Dark. And, of course, as always, it will be on AEW's YouTube channel that you guys can watch. The first interview with FTR will be this Wednesday, June the 3rd, on Dynamite with Tony Schiavone. And one match that I forgot to mention just a couple minutes ago is they also, not only when they announced Colt Cabana versus Chris Jericho, they said Nyla Rose is going to take on Big Swole. So you're going to get an FTR interview. You're going to get the two title matches. You're going to have Cody versus Jungle Boy, and then Omega Page versus Havoc and Sabian for the tag team titles. You're going to get Nyla Rose and Big Swole, Chris Jericho and Colt Cabana. So, I mean, it's going to be a good Dynamite match, too. Or a good Dynamite night, I should say. WWE also confirmed that Matt Riddle is now going to SmackDown. I don't know if they can say that's a call-up, though. I mean, what do you guys think? Is that a call-up? I know a lot of people were hoping Bray Wyatt would come back quickly after having the second child, and that we would see Braun Strowman versus The Fiend at SummerSlam. But can you see Matt Riddle versus Braun Strowman at SummerSlam? That may be where they're going. I kind of think that would be an interesting match with Matt Riddle's UFC or MMA background. I wonder if his kicks and quick strikes and then his submission moves, if he could give Braun Strowman a run for his money, cut that tree down. Might be a good SummerSlam match depending on how they build it, I guess. And basically, that is your news and updates for May 29th, 2020. If you guys have any questions, comments, problems, or protests, please hit me up on Twitter or our Facebook page, or write me at wrestlingovertime@gmail.com. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon.